things on his plate. So Bob and I are going to work together and continue with the finances and take a look at creating a basic budget pretty soon. So we're going to keep pushing ahead on that because I think it's important that everybody has an idea of what the budget is with all these pilings and issues out there going forward to make those decisions. It would be nice to actually have a budget for the first time for the marina. So I appreciate Bob stepping up to help assist with that, and we're going to keep working on that, and hopefully we'll have something by the next meeting. Item 6B, piers and docks, Dock 11 and Dock 18B. Dennis is heading up that project. I know once he's completed with the chains, then he said he was going to go ahead and start looking for a contractor to do those repairs next on the schedule. Item 6C, infraction by owners and their tenants. I guess I'll let Stacy Caston fill us in on the status of the insurance updates.
I hadn't talked to Stacy Wingate, but I think we only have a few that are left that we haven't received insurance, copies of insurance, and I think they've been turned over to collection, as far as I know.
Okay. I think we have the same status on the electrical bills. I know it was suggested that any slip that's not being used, we've got a request from one of the owners to go ahead and disconnect their electric. So moving forward, as time moves on, we're going to go ahead and work on that as well. Unless somebody wants their electric left on an empty slip for some reason, we're going to go ahead and start working on disconnecting the electric so we don't continue to have the issues with people squatting and stealing the electricity. So we're still working on that item. 6D. So the gate that's on the liveaboard side, we had to basically file our policy with the county that has been filed. We had to install a device for the fire department. The contractor completed that installation. We had a request from a board member to have a phone service ready to go in case somebody had to get in for some reason at 2, 3 in the morning. That service has been implemented. So basically at this point, we're pretty much ready to activate the gate. So I want to see if we can get some notices sent out to everybody, give them a little time. And then we're going to issue each person at least one card to start off with. And then, you know, married people would obviously get 2 cards. I know we're going to have some kind of deposit for the cards. So we'll probably be discussing that sometime here pretty soon, but just spread the word.
That's just for liveaboards, right?
That's correct. So we're going to get that going here pretty soon.
Is that right?
Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Stacy?
I can hear you, Kurt.
Okay.
Hey, Kurt, just a suggestion, you might want to also encode several spare cards for, you know, temporary contractors, etc.
Yeah, actually, I created some spares for the police, fire department. I think there's about 4 or 5 that we did. Stacy, do you have those listed on your spreadsheet?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
I don't have
yeah.
in front of me, but yeah, there's 2 or 3 for the police department, 2 or 3 for the fire department.
Good deal. Yeah, we accounted for that, so we should be ready to go there.
And I lost service for some reason, but are the cards just for the liveaboards, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, item 6E, the 20-year agreement. Basically, we put a 2-year extension on this, and we're meeting tomorrow night with Donato and his group to discuss the situation with the access to the swimming pool, etc. So we'll be meeting with them tomorrow night. And then once we have that meeting, we'll update everybody on the status of that. One of the items.
Kurt, can I ask there is the possibility of a 2-year extension, but I don't think that hasn't been agreed to yet. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And let me unmute Donato. Donato, do you have anything to add?
No, rather than really talk about this here, it'd probably be better to wait until tomorrow. I can answer John's question though. As of December 9th, there's no contract unless we do something. So tomorrow's gonna be a very important meeting. And I mean, it could be, there could be an extension. I mean, I don't know, but like I said, until we discuss this, really get into the nitty gritty of it, I'd rather not discuss, what we're thinking, what you're thinking. That's something for tomorrow's meeting.
Understand. Okay, we'll move on then.
You bet.
Let's see here. Item 6F, security cameras. There was a particular security camera type that I sent out to the board to see what they thought about. It's a cellular type of camera. And if anybody on the board wants to give me feedback, whether you think that's a good idea or not, please let me know. And then if we think it's a good idea, then we'll go ahead and start purchasing maybe a test camera for that situation there. We're gonna move on to 6G, fire valves. I think I already touched on this. It was good news. We don't have any leaks on these fire valves. So that's gonna save us quite a bit of money. I do know that firebox number 1 though is missing a part. So I spoke with the plumber and he's supposed to order the part and get that repaired. So I need to just follow up with him. I spoke to him about 2 weeks ago. That's the only issue that we see as far as the fire valves. Item 6H, electrical repairs. I know that it was suggested by one of the board members that once we know more after tomorrow night with the agreement with the condos and our situation, then it will kind of guide how we can tackle that issue there with the lights and the electrical. So we'll follow up on that probably on Wednesday. Item 6I, piers and bolts. So all of the Trex was repaired, but there's probably about approximately 15 to 20 of the horizontal supports that did not get bolts to them in the past. So we're going to go ahead and reinforce those particular finger piers. Some of these horizontal supports were trimmed right at the edge of the finger piers. And what we'd like to do is going forward is to give an extra inch or two. That way, when there's a hurricane or a high tide that submerges these supports, they're a lot more stable with the bolts, because with just screws, they get kind of spongy. And it appears that what happens is when these get wet, kind of soaked, then they fall off the edge of the supports because they're too close. And then once they fall off the edge, then it punctures through the Trex or the wood supporting, and it causes the piers to collapse. So we need to get that going pretty quick here. That's going to be pretty high priority on the list, amongst one other item with the condos that I can discuss later on in executive session. So that's probably the next high priority there, is to continue with these bolts. And then something else, just so that owners are aware, that something I wasn't aware of till probably a couple of years ago, are the tide risers. A lot of these tide risers, they look fine from the outside, but again, because of hurricanes and other issues with the weather and just time, a lot of the bolts that are securing the tide risers are actually rusted on the inside. So although the outside, you see a bolt and a washer and a nut, if you were actually to pull that bolt out, on the center of that bolt, you'll probably find a lot of corrosion. So this actually belongs to the slip owners. They split the costs to replace and repair these tide risers. My understanding was back in the day, a lot of these tide risers were installed years ago, and a lot of people assume these are items that is the responsibility of the board to pay for, and it's actually the responsibility of the owners to maintain those. So just a word of caution, you may want to check your tide risers. Several people have checked their bolts and they've replaced them for that exact reason. On the outside, you can't tell, but once you remove that bolt and inspect it, if you can even get it out, you'll find that it's pretty rusted. So I'm gonna make a suggestion that you inspect your tide risers. What happens is they break loose in the middle of a storm and then they flop around and they don't do the job they're supposed to do. So just something to note. Moving on to item 7, new business. Need to check with the status. We have an attorney kind of reviewing our DCCRs. They're gonna take a look at some of the, I guess, clerical errors and items that are on there and try and look at a way to kind of clean them up. A lot of our documents are pretty outdated, convoluted. So I know that that was supposed to be in a review. I don't know if John or Bob or anybody knows what the status is of that. I think it's kind of on the back burner for now, but it'd be kind of nice to have them take a look at that and give us a quote to clean up some of these documents. Item 7B. Bob, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to kind of comment on the status of the infractions. We started out with the insurance, and then I made some suggestions on some items. I know that a lot of people have been talking about dirty boats for quite a while, so that was one of the things I put on my list. I'd like to give everybody plenty of notice, 30-day notice, and go through these rules. So I'm suggesting we add 3 more rules to be enforced. One of them, again, was the dirty boats. Another one is, I think, the build downs. We got a lot of build downs out there that have not been maintained, that are starting to fall apart. And then I think one of the ones I had suggested also was the clutter, things on the docks out there that are strewn all over the place. So I know Bob had some suggestions and everybody kind of pitched in on that. So I'm just gonna let him comment on that, what the status is there. I know he's kind of taking a look at some items out there, and we've all discussed some of these rules. I think some of these rules, like the clean boats and things, will aesthetically make a big difference. So Bob, did you want to kind of discuss that at all? I'm going to click your unmute button, Bob.
Okay, well, you kind of summarized it. The first infraction letters that we issued were in relation to the insurance, and I think most people have complied with that, not quite all. If it's a curable infraction, then really the letter gives the owner time to effectuate a cure, and there's no fine if the cure is effectuated. If the cure is not made within the time that the letter specifies, then the fine would go into effect. So some of the things we're going to be looking at, I think, here in the upcoming weeks are some of the appearance of the boats out there. Some of them have a lot of extraneous stuff on the boat, and then some of them have a lot of mildew and mold and are just dirty. So we're going to be looking at those, and then there are some of the drop downs, as Kurt mentioned, that are in dilapidated condition, and again, the appearance of the marina certainly is not enhanced by structures that are falling apart or falling into the water. So we'll be looking at those. Those are all curable offenses, so letters would be issued, and the owner would be given a time period to take care of the problem, and hopefully everybody does that.
All right, thank you, Bob. Item 7C, meter readings. So Bay Area Business Services got a gentleman reading the meters, and we paid a fee for that. Then I think he went ahead and did another meter reading for, let's see, August, September, I believe it was September. And then it kind of got by us. So October, I went ahead and read the meters for October. So we're looking for volunteers out there to read the meters. I know there was a couple people that had mentioned they were interested in doing that. So if you're interested in reading the meters, just let us know and we can show you how to do that. I believe Tim was one person, and then thought there was another person that Stacy Caston had been contacted by, but we're still looking for volunteers. So once again, if you want to learn how to read the meters or volunteer for it, let us know and we can take a look at that. It'd be a big help. Dave, I see your comment. Thank you. It looks like that's it for the agenda. We're going to go ahead and open it up for questions. Try and limit it to 3 minutes, and we'll try and answer if we can. Okay, Darren. Darren Whitmarsh, you should be able to unmute your mic.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so I need to figure out what's going on with the insurance on my renter, what the problem is. I've tried to relay the insurance. He has a couple times. I've gotten a couple letters. I don't understand why the discourse in this. I have a phone, that works. I can talk anytime, and instead I get two of these letters that are just a waste of money and time. I need to know what's going on. I've tried to call the number to Babs. It says the voicemail's all filled up. Can't leave a message. I've talked to you, Kurt, one time a couple months ago. I've talked to Stacy Caston to try to figure out, what the discourse is. Can you answer that?
This is the first I'm hearing. I thought it was resolved quite a while ago. So, say again.
I thought it was too.
Okay. Yeah, I just got the word that they do have your COI. So I don't know what dates you were sent the letter, et cetera, but it sounds like it's on the backside there. They did receive your COI, so it should not be an issue. But if you want to give me the information who your tenant is and all that, we can figure it out.
It's been emailed. It's been emailed to Babs a couple times. And but anyway, you say it's been resolved. I mean,
I just got the word.
Insurance.
Yeah, I just got the word that it's everything's on the up and up. So
Okay.
I'll ask some questions to kind of find out where the communication breakdown is, so that we can prevent that in the future.
Okay. I appreciate also as well. Like I say, I mean, it's been months, and I tried calling the number. I emailed back. It says, it wasn't clear on why the insurance wasn't compliant. It just wasn't clear. And I would say, instead of taking time to send letters out, through the mail, certified more than one time, a phone number, an email, a text, something short of that would be appreciated.
Okay, yeah, and in the future, if you do have something like that, reach out to one of the board members and we can get that resolved a lot quicker.
Okay,
Yeah, I thought
that's
a while back.
okay. Well, that's all I had. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Sure.
Okay, if anybody has any other questions, just let us know. Go ahead, Dennis.
Yes, two. One is, what is the cost of having the meters read? When you're,
I believe it, I believe the contractor was charging 120.
okay, okay. And the other question is about cleaning up boats. I was down in the liveaboard section yesterday and James's boat, I don't know what the status with James is. Excuse me, I've got an alarm going off. I don't know what the status of James. Is he still in jail?
As far as we know, he's still in jail. That slip, his tenant is the one that we're going to be contacting really soon here about that. And it's not just him, it's, anybody who's got a dirty boat or a boat in bad, uh, uh, that's in bad shape. That's why we're discussing this tonight. We're going to start sending these letters out to anybody, at least the owners of the slips, that their tenants' boats or their boats are dirty and need to be cleaned. So
Yeah.
we're going to go. Yeah, we're going to enforce that.
So his boat is rented to somebody now?
We don't know the status of the boat because that boat was brought in without inspection. We don't know who owns the boat, so we're trying to get that information. But the owner of the slip, of course, is the one that we have to contact.
Is that one that's owned by Eric?
I don't know if I can legally put out that information, but let's say he owns 3 slips. That's all I can say.
Okay. Another question, you mentioned two pilings that you know of that need repairs. What is it that needs to be done on those 2 pilings?
So one of them belongs to Chuck Rule. I think it's on 20 I want to say 13. Jimmy had taken a paddle bit and they were having some kind of issue with it. And what he did is he probed that particular piling. And when he put that paddle bit through the piling, once he drilled through the first like half an inch or inch, then the paddle bit just went straight through to the other side, which told him that the piling is actually rotted from the inside out. So, and we don't know how many of these pilings are in that condition. We got to look at these pilings, if they were put back in 1978, 79, who knows? They're beyond their expected lifespan. So that's why we purchased this device. The other piling is on dock 12. And that one is actually split right down the middle. That's one of the collapsed piers out there. And before we, repair that pier, that piling's going to have to be replaced. So those are the first 2. That's when we had discussions and said, hey, we need to check the condition of all these pilings out here. And put together some kind of spreadsheet, inspect everything that's out in the marina. That way we've got a better idea of which pilings are in the worst shape. Spoke to some other, other members from the past, and they were saying that at one time, apparently, they inspected the pilings at the base, and the piling contractor said anything below the mud is probably going to be in good shape. But these worms, they attack anything above the mud line. So they went out there with an auger and a diver and did some samples, and they found a lot of these pilings, you push into them and they were like a sponge. So, we need to do an inventory, check just above the water line if we can, as low as possible. And then this device will measure. It's basically like a little sonar. You tap on it and it gives you some numbers and you do the math and it will tell you whether or not this piling is hollow on the inside. So, by using this device, we'll have a better idea of all the pilings condition. That way we have a guide as to which ones to replace first, because it's not going to be cheap to do this. And, obviously everybody wants their piling replaced. So we have to have some way of determining that. And by using this tester, everybody can see the data and then we can make decisions going forward.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, I'm going to make a motion to conclude the meeting. And then we're going to go into executive session.
I second it.
Any other board member want to chime in?
I agree.
Nazar, Bob, Nathan?
They're all muted.
Okay. All right, that concludes the meeting for November. Thank you, everybody, for who showed up to the meeting. It's much appreciated. Dave, I'll get with you sometime. We're going to go ahead now in this meeting, and then we're going to go into executive session.
Thanks, everybody.